Hey there, McAllister with Toasty DIY, and today I'm going to give you all a rundown on what you need to bring if you're going to go to your first locals for One Piece, the trading card game. So I just attended my first locals, and as a complete newbie to the trading card game hobby, I attended locals and was definitely missing some things that would have been nice to have. I wasn't missing anything so terribly that I couldn't participate in the game, but some things that would have been courteous to have that I did not. So let's talk about what those things are and some etiquette that I learned when I went to my first local. So luckily for me, I have a friend who's been in the trading card game space for longer than I have, or at least previously he has been in longer than I have. I've never played before, he has, so he's doing a lot better than I am in this transition into it. And we decided we wanted to go to one of the tournament nights at our local game shop. So when we went there, there's a few things you actually need to play, and then there's a few things that I would say you should consider if you're interested in playing One Piece more often. So number one, something you absolutely need if you're going to show up to locals is a deck. This may seem obvious, but they don't provide anything. There's nothing for you. When you get there, you need to come with a deck, and that's what you're going to be playing the whole night. So you only need one deck. If you really enjoy playing 3 or 4 different decks, at least at my locals, you pick one for the beginning, and whatever you pick in the beginning is what you're playing throughout the night. There's no swapping around decks. I don't know if that's customary everywhere, but just keep in mind that might be the rule for the shop you're at. You should ask if you want to play multiple decks. Number 2, and need, is usually going to be money. Depending on what game shop you're going to, if you're going to one that's going to give you packs and prizes for winning, they need an entry fee. In the case of the shop I went to, it was $5, but on nights where they have pre-release packs or bigger prizes, they can go up to 10 or 15 bucks, depending on what they're offering for the winning prizes. So just know it does cost an entry fee for a lot of different local events. And if you want to participate in that, you need to bring some money and support your local game shops, because why not? And now for more optional items, I think that's really all you need if you want to play, right? You need a deck and you need some money to enter the game. But what about things that are going to make your life easier? At our game shop, the one that we went to, everyone had 2d6, and that's how we rolled to see who goes first. I don't know if you have to do that or if you can play rock, paper, scissors or some other form to figure out who goes first, but at our game shop, we needed 2d6, so you might want to bring it. My guess is that might stem from another card game where that's the way of deciding who goes first, because everyone seemed to have 2d6. I don't know if that's a One Piece specific thing, but like I said, you might want to bring 2 just normal d6 die. And if you're at a game shop, there's a good chance they sell dice. Next, if you're going to be playing a lot, you might want to go ahead and buy a pad or a mat to play on. You can find these mats anywhere online, or if you're at your game shop and they do card games, they probably have some for Magic the Gathering. One Piece, I don't know that they have a lot of ones for sale out there. The game shops I go to have not had them, so I bought one online for 30 bucks. Really cheap, but this play mat just lets me set up my cards, tells me where my life goes, and that way I have a set space that I'm working off of, and I'm not, flooding into other people's area, and they're not flooding into mine. You may want to get card sleeves. If you're going to be playing a lot, probably best that you protect the cards you enjoy, especially if you're going to be somebody who's more of a collector, or if you want to sell them later on in your life. You do not have to, but you might want to get card sleeves. If you do get card sleeves, however, you need to have different ones for your Dawn, for your leader, and for your deck. So make sure you do not have the same, you don't go out and buy one thing of the Dragon Shield, I think they're called. Don't buy just one box. You probably need to buy 2 or 3 because you need to have one for each of those sets. So for me, I like to use yellow for my Dawn, and I like to use red for my cards, and I like to use gray for my leaders. So however you want to do it, you just are supposed to have different colors for your Dawn, your leader, and your main deck. So keep that in mind. I don't know how strict shops are going to be on that, but according to the official competitive rules, you're supposed to have different colors or different sleeves. So may want to do that. However, if you can't afford sleeves, I'm pretty confident you can just run with the cards unsleeved. If you've got a mat, then at least you'll put less wear and tear on them, but I'd recommend you probably get sleeves. And if you're going to have them sleeved, you probably want to get a deck box, but once again, totally optional. So now that you have all the equipment to play the game, and you have maybe some of the optional things to enjoy the game a little bit differently, let's talk about how to actually play the game when you're at a locals event. So number 1 is that before the first game starts, you're picking out what deck you're going to play. Maybe you only have one. Maybe you're somebody who comes with a backpack and you have 3 decks and you're trying to decide. It seems to be customary to keep your leader face down. Don't show what leader you're going to play before the game begins, or at least the first round, because like I said, the leaders are set for the entire competition. So once you pick a deck, you're playing that deck all the way through, and you don't want to give your opponent an unfair advantage. The person I played against was very nice. I told him, hey, this is my first time, and he said, oh, hey, don't flash your leader, leave that face down until I pick a deck. You don't want somebody picking one just to mess with you particularly. In my case, I wasn't too worried. I only had one deck and it wasn't even that good. I just planned for the fun of being there. He told me that, and I will pass that along to you. Do not flash your leader, keep it face down, or just hide your thing until they say they're ready. Because I looked around me and everyone else had their leader face down, so don't show your leader. Next is, remember, you will be playing likely that later the entire time, so make sure you pick a deck that you enjoy playing, because if you go 3 deep on a loss streak, you don't want to be just cursing and sitting there with your deck. However, you are allowed to leave in the middle of the tournaments, so I learned. It seems like most people that had to leave during ours looked over at whoever they were paired with next and said, hey, sorry, I have to go. Are you cool, or do you want to play this one out? And most of them said like, oh, I'm fine, because the people that were leaving were oftentimes on like their 3rd loss, and it went a little bit later the night I went because there was more players. Just something to remember. If you're going to be playing, plan to stay for the whole time, or if you're going to leave, make sure you let someone know so that way they're not looking for a player who doesn't exist anymore. Third is how the tournament works, and I believe I heard someone call it a Swiss game or a Swiss tournament. I don't know if that's the correct term, but I'm going to describe to you how it works, which is they have a website. I think they use Konami, which is what Yu-Gi-Oh uses. They put in everyone's name who entered and paid money for the tournament, and then what it'll do is randomly pair up those people. So if you've got 10 people, it's going to randomly make 5 pairs, and what it'll do is if you win, they'll just track whoever won that game, and at the end it's whoever won the most games is the winner. So if you went on a 4-0 streak, you may get a prize, and then if somebody went on a 3-1 streak, then they're going to get a prize as well, but they're going to get a pick after the person who had the higher streak. If there's a tie, they'll keep doing pairs until somebody loses a game. And in our shop, I think they actually just paired up the 2 people who were on an undefeated streak to guarantee that streak broke. So we played 1 extra game, and that was it. The nice part about this is that if you are someone like me who's newer and you're losing, you have a lot of time to play. Different people, you don't get kicked out and have to leave, and then you didn't really get a play for your $5. You just got your butt whooped. So remember, you're going to keep playing even if you lost, if they're playing in that format. So it's a good thing if you want to keep learning and keep trying. Remember, stick through it. You've got more time. You've got more games. All right, for the next tip is that you should not touch people's cards without asking. This feels like it should go without saying, but some people don't realize. And if someone's doing it to you, you can remind them, hey, do you mind asking me what the card does? But if there's a card you don't understand, most every person I asked, I just pointed and I said, hey, sorry, what does that card do? And they said, oh, you can read it if you want. And that was an invitation to pick it up. Otherwise, just ask before you touch cards. If you play a card, I try to say the general idea of what the card does, especially when I'm playing ones, because I don't know how to play very well. I play very weirdly not meta decks apparently, and people didn't know what my card did, specifically Queen and the Playgrounds and the Ice Oni. People didn't know what that combo did, and it was a little confusing to some people, so I made sure every time I played it to say out loud what the effect did, and when they asked, I was happy to hand them the card and let them read it. But remember, when you don't know what something does, you are free to ask at any time. If there's a Dawn -1 on a character and you see it's like a when attacking and you've no clue what it does, you don't have to sit there quietly and just let it happen to you. You can ask what that effect is, and most people in my experience just easily showed me the card, handed me the card, or told me how it worked. Some of them even told me what they planned to do with it, so that way I had a better idea, and they were overall really nice about it. The next piece of advice I'd have to give is just be overall nice to the people you're playing against. Remember, you're all there for fun, and if you go on a regular basis, you're probably going to meet these people a few times. Everyone I met was super kind, and they were willing to help me out. It was actually really cool. A lot of them, after they thoroughly beat me, said, can I look at your deck? And they went through and showed me where my deck can improve, taught me how the basic meta of the game works. And some of them gave me comments along the lines of, oh, hey, had you played the meta deck, like you would have won. Here's some things. Here's my deck. Here's how it looks. Here's what you can do to improve yours. Here's low cost substitutes, high cost substitutes. Get a chance to know the people that you're playing against, because it turns out they can be, way more helpful than you might think. And surprisingly, one of the guys I ended up playing against lives right behind me. So it turned out to hit closer to home than I thought it would. When you're meeting new people, you should always be, on a good behavior. And I think that's really all the tips I have for you all. That's what I learned when I went to my first locals. I plan on going again. And the smaller the local, the more you're going to see the same people over and over again. So like I said, keep on a good behavior. Be nice to people you're playing with. Don't say cringy things about your anime show that you like. If you're going to go, have a good time. I hope these tips would help you. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I plan on to keep going on more locals. So if you have any questions about how that works, leave them down below and I'll try to answer them if I know the answer. Otherwise, thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate you. Peace.